Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Sandy Toad Tarot. My name is Laura. I'm super excited to be here today. We're going to do another weekly reading. We do this once a week to just find out what the energies are for each of us for the week, kind of what we're working with. It's a very general reading, so please do keep that in mind. We're doing this reading for the week of June 15th through the 20th, and I will tell you there is a lot going on astrologically this month in general, and this week in particular. I'm very into astrology in the aspect of how it pertains to your personality and how whatever sign you might have, sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, all those things, how they inform your personality and kind of tell people a little bit about why you are the way you are, that kind of thing. I'm into astrology in that way, but in the way of tracking the stars and what's going on in the heavens and the planets, and then understanding how that relates to what's going on here on Earth. So astrologers believe, those people who do that, who do track the charts and everything, believe that as above, so below. So what's going on in the heavens will kind of say a little bit about things that might be happening in a particular time frame. So I do know a couple of things that are happening this week. Number one, Mercury is going retrograde on the 18th. And just generally speaking, Mercury retrogrades are just kind of times where communication might be a little tougher. Travel might be a little tougher. You just need to make sure that you have everything planned out, you know, that you have contingency plans and you have a good plan for everything. Now that certainly doesn't mean life stops when there's a retrograde, right? You still have to do things. So keep moving, but just be aware that things might take a little more time. Also, retrogrades are good periods to redo anything, like reevaluate anything, reorganize things. There is a time when you can go, I don't want to say go backwards, but just kind of, you don't want to go backwards ever, but just kind of take a look at things again. It's also a time where old loves can kind of come back. People from your past can kind of come back to either to get closure or to maybe try to start things up again. Again, I'm not an expert on this particular aspect of the astrology, so I do recommend that you definitely look at there's some really good astrologers out on YouTube that provide some really good information about planetary aspects. And especially look at that solar eclipse in Cancer, which will happen on the 20th or the 21st, depending on where you live in the world. That will be pretty important this week, I think. And to find out about what that means for you in particular, you can take a look at some of the astrologers that do put out YouTube videos each month. I particularly like Pam Gregory. I like Gregory Scott as well. So take a look at those people, and they'll surely have something out for big events, and especially like the solar eclipse that's coming up on the 20th and the 21st. So again, this reading will be for June 15th through the 20th, and I'm going to do the pick a card weekly reading like I did last week. That was well received, so we'll do that again, where you get to choose the pile that's speaking to you for what's coming up for your week. If you do like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and feel free to share it with anybody that you think might be interested in it. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do subscribe and hit that bell so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Also, I want to remind everybody that I am doing a Sizzling Summer Tarot reading special right now for the month of June. So the readings are $20 for a 20-minute interactive reading, and I can do that on Zoom or WhatsApp, whichever one you prefer. They're kind of fun, so if you're interested in a reading, go to sandytoadtarot.com and you can find out how to reach me there. Just shoot me an email and we can talk about how we can make it work. So I think that's all the business that I wanted to talk about today. Let's go ahead and get started with the reading. I'll put the camera down and you can choose which pile you like. This week again I have 3 options and you can choose from pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. On pile 1 I have an Amazonite. On pile 2 I have a Garnet. And on pile 3 I have a Malachite. So you can use those stones to choose which one you like, or you can pick any other way you want to. You can just maybe close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, and then when you open your eyes, whichever one you are drawn to, that'll be the pile for you. However you want to choose, you can pause the video, think about it for a minute, meditate on it, whatever you want to do. And then whenever you choose, you can go to the pile that you have chosen. I'll put the timestamps in the description box below so that you can go directly to the reading that you've chosen. Again, this is pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. Okay, so if you chose pile 1 with an Amazonite, these are going to be your messages for June 15th through 20th. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the Amazonite. It's a really pretty stone. It reminds me of the beach, of the ocean. So that's actually why I was drawn to it, but I found out later the meaning of it. I might have been drawn to it for other reasons. That happens sometimes. So this is a good stone for the throat chakra. The throat chakra is associated with blue, the color blue. So when you're drawn to this stone, it might mean that it's time for you to express yourself. So this is good for speaking your truth. It's good for self-expression. It dissolves negativity and it soothes emotional wounds. So let's just take a look at what the cards have to say for the week of June 15th through the 20th for pile 1. So the Sacred Traveler Oracle card is Begin Now, Take Your First Step. I chose these Herbal Tarot for advice from Spirit, so we'll hold off on those for a few minutes. Let's just look at the Rider-Waite, see what the general messages are for this week. We have the Fool card. We have the 8 of Pentacles. And we have the World. So this is some synchronicity right here for sure. Begin now, take the first step. This just tells me that you are starting a journey. You might have the journey already in mind. You may have been putting it off for a little bit, but this card is saying now is the time to take the first step. You won't be able to see the whole staircase, right? But you can't see everywhere that you're going to go on this journey yet. But that's okay. You don't have to see the whole journey. You just have to begin it. You just have to take that first step and let the path unfold the way it's supposed to. One of my favorite things is getting lost, because I love road trips in the first place, but I find some of the most fascinating things when I get lost. So don't be afraid to get lost. You'll probably get lost along the way once or twice. That's fine. And you will reach your destination for sure. But remember to enjoy the journey along the way. So this is a pretty exciting adventure, I think, because you have major arcana cards here that say whatever this shift is that is happening this week, it's kind of a major change in your life. This journey that you're beginning, it is absolutely the beginning. This card says that too. This is the Fool card. The first card in the major arcana, it's a 0. It's the only 0 in the tarot deck, and it represents all that is. And that includes all potentiality. Anything is possible right now. So this is a really auspicious card to get with this card, Begin Now. Take your first step. You're absolutely embarking on a new journey. I think it has something to do with something that you love that will bring you financial gain. The Eight of Pentacles is a very positive card when it comes to work and money, but it is a card of working at what you love. Finding what it is that you love, which it looks like you've already decided and you know which direction that you want to go in, but you're carving out that pinnacle. You're carving out your pinnacles from that which you love most. And the pinnacles just start stacking up. This is going to be a very fruitful venture, but it is broad because it takes you out into the world. The world is always turning. But this is saying one cycle of your life has completed and a new cycle has begun, and it broadens your horizons, this new cycle. So I think this message is actually really very clear. It flows so beautifully. You do have a new beginning that's coming up this week. It is it's a huge, let's see, what shall we say about it? It is a big transition. It is a major completion and new beginning in your life. So it would be one of those major milestones that you hit in your life. And I think it has something to do with finding what it is you love and pursuing that with great passion, not being afraid to step out on faith. If you notice, this Fool has very little, is taking very little with him. He has a pack with just a few possessions there. He has a flower, which to me represents hope for a bright future, that this venture is going to work out. And he has his faithful companion with him, his dog. And that is all he's taken on this journey. And you notice it's like he's on the edge of the cliff. He has no idea how it's going to turn out, but he is excited about the adventure. Okay, so let's take a look at advice from Spirit to see if we can get some more information on this. You have the Ace of Wands. You have the Chariot. And you have the Six of Cups. So this is, the Ace of Wands represents another new beginning. Aces are always new beginnings. They are new beginnings that have the hand of God in it. This is new beginning is on offer from God. The Wands are creativity. So this new beginning to me has something to do with something creative that you've chosen to, maybe it was a hobby before, but you have decided to take that hobby and use it to actually make money with it. It's making money with something that you love, but it's a creative idea that sparks a new beginning for you. The Chariot is a card of balancing opposing forces. If you think about those old chariots, you know, I guess in Roman gladiator days is where we see the chariot most often. Those were kind of, you have to know, not very well built vehicles. They were built as well as they could have been at that time, but they didn't have like steel belted radio tires on them, right? So that means that this ride can be a little bit bumpy, but you have the necessary determination and the will and the strength to balance generally two opposing forces. A lot of times this card has like two actual horses there, one dark and one light, and that just means they're in opposition. One wants to go this way, the other wants to go that way. But this card just means you have the determination and the strength and the will to balance everything that you need to balance, to go forward with this plan that you don't actually see the whole staircase on, but you're very excited to take off on this journey. And let's talk about that too, because the Chariot also can mean actual physical travel. this is a conveyance, right? So it is a way to get from point A to point B. Maybe a road trip, maybe probably not a trip overseas right now, things being the way that they are. You may be planning for a trip overseas, but you probably won't be embarking on that this week. Okay, so the Six of Cups, this is the cutest card. I love how this Six of Cups is portrayed in the Herbal Tarot deck. It's just so sweet and so cute. It is the card of your youth. It is the card of nostalgia. Have this watermelon here. Remember eating watermelon on, summer afternoons, particularly on the 4th of July. Picnics, watermelon and picnics kind of seem to go together. So in the Six of Cups, it could mean that somebody is from your past is coming back in to offer you something in a love relationship. But I kind of don't feel like that's how it's read in this particular reading. To me, it seems like nostalgia. It seems like maybe this creative idea that you have decided to embark on is something that you had. It's like it's something that you wanted to do in your youth, when you were young, when things were very innocent. Back in a time before you learned that you have to be responsible and make a living, right? Before that, you had a dream. Maybe you wanted to be a rock star, or something that maybe your parents or someone older than you said, you can't do that. You won't make any money at that. Someone maybe squashed your childhood dream. Well, that's resurfacing. And you're taking it as a new creative idea. This creative idea that you're running with, whatever it is that you love, that you're running with, that you're going to make a living out of, and a good living out of, it comes from your past. It comes from your childhood dreams, which is very exciting. Good for you. So that's all I have for pile 1. If this resonates with you, please let me know. Put it in the comments below, and let me know how this works out for you. This looks like an auspicious week for you, and an amazing one too. It's a fresh start. It is a new beginning on your journey to a new life. It's a new life for you, and it starts this week. So that's exciting. I hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time. Namaste. So if you chose pile 2 with the garnet on it, these are going to be your messages for June 15th through the 20th. The garnet, this is a little bit of a tumbled garnet, but it's still rough. I love the way it feels. The garnet is red, so it's associated with fire, passion, creativity, and strength. And it's particularly associated with healthy sexual energies. So let's take a look at the cards for this week for pile 2. The first card we have in the Sacred Traveler Oracle card is Narrow Pathway, Tread Thoughtfully. The Herbal Tarot, those are advice from Spirit, so we'll hold off on those for a few minutes. So let's get the general energies from the Rider-Waite Tarot. We have Temperance. Can't talk today. We have the Page of Swords. We have the Hanged Man. And we have the Five of Swords. So it looks like for pile 2 there might be some conflict coming up this week. Okay, let's take a look at this card. The Narrow Pathway, Tread Thoughtfully. That shows up in your reading at a time when you need to be really deliberate and cautious in the way that you move forward. You need to consider all possibilities. You will be successful, but you will be successful by taking it one step at a time, and taking it a step at a time very deliberately and very thoughtfully. And here's kind of why I say there's a bit of conflict coming up in your life this week, or there is some conflict because of this, because it's not obstacles that are in your way. It's just you need to think twice before you make decisions this week. You can continue forward on your path, but that forward motion needs to be very deliberate. You need to take a look at the details. Keep your focus on the steps ahead. Don't get ahead of yourself, kind of take a deep breath, relax, and then you can move forward. So the Five of Swords here, this is a card of conflict. It's probably the most, of all the cards in the tarot deck, this probably represents conflict most. You can have the Five of Wands, which represents a little bit of conflict, like everyday conflict. But this is a kind of conflict that can potentially be, this is a bigger conflict. People can lose jobs. Relationships can be extremely damaged, if not severed, by this type of conflict. So we all have conflict in our lives, so don't take that. It's not the end of the world, right? We all have conflict in our lives. So this Five of Swords represents, and you can read it two different ways. It does mean that if you choose to fight this battle, you can win. But also, if you're exhausted with this battle, sometimes the better option is to walk away, like these guys. They're walking away from this fight either because it's not worth it for them to fight this fight, or they're exhausted with it. They're done with it. So you also got the Page of Swords here, and the Page of Swords can be like some upsetting news that you're getting. Pages are messengers. So this can represent upsetting news, but it can also represent a time. If you notice, this guy has this sword drawn and ready, which means he is ready to cut something out of his life. The Page of Swords also represents Taurus, if there might be a Taurus involved in your week. Temperance represents Sagittarius. So the Temperance card just is that card of alchemy. It means that you've reached a point where you need to blend things to make it work. There's going to be a necessary blending. You get this card a lot of times when I don't really feel like this is a relationship reading, but you do get this card a lot of times in relationships when you're dealing with a coming together, a marriage of sorts of people from two different cultures or two different backgrounds. You'll see this card because it's going to mean that there's a lot of good things here, but you're going to have to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, blend it together to make a successful marriage. So the other card we have here is the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man can represent a time when you need to, like, everything's at a standstill, nothing's moving forward. You need to take a break and look at things from a different perspective. Now, it can be an enforced break, right? Like, you don't necessarily want to take a break, but nothing's moving forward. Everything's just at a standstill. And you don't necessarily like that, right? If you notice, this guy is hanging from this tree. His foot's hanging up on the tree. But it's very loose. He could cut himself down at any time. At any time, he can get down from this tree and he can start moving forward. That's his option. But sometimes this happens when you just need to look at things from a different perspective. Like maybe you're bogged down in this conflict a little bit, and you take a little bit of a time out and you look at things from a different perspective. Okay, so to me, this feels like, if we're going to pull it all together here, right? So to me, this feels like you are coming up on a week where you will have a little bit of conflict. You will be okay. You will be able to make it through this situation. You'll go, if you go slowly and deliberately through the situation. This tells me that maybe you should take some time, look at things from a different perspective. And I think that you will move forward by compromising, by being able to blend a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know, anytime you're in any kind of relationship, work relationship, family relationship, love relationship, it's going to take compromise. So you have to look at what everybody wants and see if you can come up with a win-win situation to move forward. Okay, let's see if we can get some advice from Spirit on this. Okay, so we got the Four of Cups. We got the Four of Swords. And we have the Four of Pentacles. Okay, so that's 3 fours. Fours are the cards of, they are cards of stability, but they're also cards of stagnation a little bit. The Four of Pentacles indicates that financially nothing's growing. You have everything that you could possibly need, but your finances are not growing right now. The Four of Swords means that it's a time to rest, it's a time to relax, it's a time to take a break from everything that you're working on. Maybe you're a little even under the weather because of all the negativity and everything. You just need to take a break. You need to take a rest, rejuvenate. It can mean healing from a disease or something, but I don't necessarily see that here. And then the Four of Cups is, cups are emotions and relationships. This is a card where you are being offered something actually from God. This has got the hand of God in it. You're being offered something in the way of a relationship, and you're just not interested in it. You just don't know if you want it or not. Very dissatisfied with the options that you have in romance. So I think all these fours are kind of saying the same thing. I mean, it's almost like this, stagnation, right? At a little place of a standstill. It's almost saying the same thing. This is not a week for big moves. This is not a week for big decisions. This is a week to rest on it, to sit on it for a little bit. As you move forward this week, it needs to be slow. It needs to be deliberate. You need to look at all the details. But I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of fast movement this week. I think it's a time to take stock. It's a time to look at the details, and it's a time to look at things from a different perspective and see how you can make a plan for how you can blend all of the necessary components to come up with a win-win situation. Okay, so that's all I have for pile 2. You will get through this. This is not going to be the funnest week of your life, but if you take the time out and relax and take care of yourself, I think you're going to be able to move forward maybe next week with your new plan. With your new plan that is beneficial to everybody. All right, have a great week. We'll see you next time. Namaste. If you chose pile 3 with the Malachite on it, these are going to be your messages for June 15th through the 20th. So the Malachite is really a great crystal. It's one of my favorites. So anytime you see green, it represents abundance, lush and green. So it represents nature. Like if maybe getting out into nature is going to be important to you this week. It can represent turning over a new leaf. Abundance in spiritually, abundance in monetary wealth, love, money, power, whatever it is you want, you aspire to have. Malachite brings you abundance in it. Okay, so the Sacred Traveler Oracle card that we have this week is Faraway Places. Get ready for new horizons. That's a great card. These are advice from Spirit, so we'll hold off on those. For the general energies for the week from the Rider-Waite, we got the Page of Pentacles. We got the Hermit card. We got the Three of Wands. Oh my gosh, and the Two of Wands. This is kind of exciting. So faraway places and get ready for new horizons to me just kind of speaks for itself. You get this card when you are about to embark on a new adventure that takes you to faraway places, like maybe world travel, faraway places mentally, faraway places spiritually, faraway places physically. It can be either one of those things. It can be a time when you're getting ready to embark on something new that takes you down a very different spiritual path, which is very exciting. Like, let's say you live in the Western culture, you were raised Christian. Maybe you're getting ready to embark on a journey that will teach you about Eastern religions and philosophies. So it can be a faraway place in that perspective. It can be an actual physical faraway place, like you are traveling overseas to a different country, to a different culture. And it's an exciting time. That's exciting to anticipate those kinds of things and to be involved in those kinds of things. It is for me anyway. I'm kind of an explorer at heart. Okay, so let's take a look at the week, and we have one major arcana card. Major arcana cards are the more important things, like the big spiritual jobs is what some people say about it. It's like the big things that are going on in your life. So the card of the Hermit, which is also the Virgo card in the major arcana, you get this card when it's a time to retreat from the world and to go within and find your own inner light and follow your own inner wisdom. It is actually, hermits, you know, they are very alone. They are associated with going off into their cave for extended periods of time, taking that time out from the world to get clear about what it is that they want to do moving forward. And we have a couple other cards that kind of tie these two together, that kind of say, you are looking out on the world. You are the Two of Wands. Just very literally, he has the world in his hand. He's trying to make a decision about where he wants to go, what he wants to do, but he's looking at it from a whole world perspective. There's a big wide world out there full of adventures, full of fun, full of creative ideas, full of juice, full of passion. So he's on the brink of, actually on the edge of, well, he looks like he's in a castle, but he is looking out on the edge of the water out into the world to make a decision about which direction he wants to take. And followed by that 2 of Wands, we have the 3 of Wands. How cool is that? So the 3 of Wands is after you've made that decision. You have looked out on the whole world. You have decided which wand you want to take up and where you want to go and what you want to do. And you are moving forward with that plan. Again, overseas travel. So that's interesting coming up this week, because at least in the U.S., I still don't think we're doing overseas travel right now. And if we are, it's very limited. So maybe this is just a week that you get some information about something that will lead to overseas travel. And I think what that might be, what it could be, ta-da, is a new job offer. So the Page of Cups shows up when we are being offered something. Pages are messengers. They're offers. They're new. There's something coming into our life. They're new beginnings, and this can represent education, like if you're going to college or something like that, getting a letter, an acceptance letter to a school. It could be, according to this reading, getting an acceptance letter to a school that is not in your country, but is overseas. This can be a job offer. It can be money. It can be you're being offered something in the way of material success, though, or something that will lead to material success. So that is really exciting. So let's look at these cards and see if we get some advice from Spirit here. Oh my gosh. Okay. 3 of Wands. So that's confirmation. I love that when Spirit just confirms things for us. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we got the 5 of Cups here. And we have the Hermit card. So that's like double confirmation that this is happening, okay? This is a week that you're going within. You're escaping from the world a little bit, and you're making plans for your future that involves something overseas, that involves something in another place, a place that is foreign to you, and that can be mentally, spiritually, physically. I feel like it's physical. I feel like there's overseas travel involved here for sure. So this is really, really, really exciting. I do feel like it comes from some kind of offer, maybe some money comes to you and you can plan for something that you've always wanted to do. Maybe you get an acceptance letter to a college from somewhere else, or maybe you get a new job offer that takes you to faraway places, that takes you to travel to the world. So exciting. Okay, so this is the 5 of Cups, and the 5 of Cups can represent mourning. It can represent, if you look at this guy is he's very sad about all the things that he has lost in his life. And it kind of actually feels like so much has been lost. Like everything is gone. There's nothing to be happy about anymore. 5s are called the agents of change, and they're called the agents of change for a reason. It's because they're not particularly fun places to be. They're not particularly fun things that are happening at a particular time. but it causes you to make a new decision. It causes something to change in your life. So to me, this is saying that this period of going within comes after a time of feeling like everything that you ever wanted was lost, feeling like you're in mourning. Maybe you have lost some people in your life, but things have been taken away from you. You're in mourning over something, or have been in mourning over something. But if you notice this cup back here, there's something left. There's some love left. There's something left to be passionate about. There's something left out there that you can love. There's something left out there. So the message of this card is, turn around, sweetie. Turn around and look at what is left and focus on that. Focus on that which you love and that which is left to work from. Focus on the love that's still there. And I think that's what's happening this week. You're turning around. Maybe you have gone through a rough time. Maybe you have been through the dark night of the soul for the last few months. You've been in a little bit of a place of a hermit mode, going within to figure it out what it is you want, and it all turns around this week. And you get some kind of offer that takes you through to some exciting adventures out into the world. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Fantastic. I'm claiming this reading as my own. This is wonderful, you guys. Congratulations. So until next time, have a great week and namaste.